Hi, Kenny.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on this Saturday morning for the session to share your experience and insights.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Happy to be.
So, welcome to anybody who just joined us for this live stream on YouTube itself. Today's episode is with Mr. Kenny Yap from Malaysia. He's actually the Director of Development with the
Hello.
Joey Yap Group. And today's topic is actually talking about time to break the rules. So, Kenny, how have you been? It's been 1 month since, or more than 1 month since we actually did the recording.
Very good and extremely busy actually. Very
So,
busy. Uh,
So it's been a time I realized that you all have been coming up with live stream and classes almost every other week.
we've always been doing that, ma. And the only difference is now that other departments or other functions of the business have moved online. So it's a good thing we had some experience in doing it, lah. So now it's just every 2 weeks, I think we have a big event. And every other day we have smaller events that are going on as well.
Mm.
And so when
So
I say events means on the internet lah,
r-
digital lah.
right, right. So now, actually, before we went live, we were chatting and talking about the various different platforms that you are utilizing. So I think you have actually spoken about utilizing even Be Live, this platform. Now you're using StreamYard, and at times you're actually using Zoom. So how do you decide which platform to utilize for the various different events that you have?
There are generally there's a general set of good practices that we found lah, but ultimately it really depends on the objective of the event, what we want to achieve, and what is it for. So like earlier we were talking about why we don't use Be Live anymore, why we use StreamYard, and why do we use why do we when we have a 8,000 people event for 4 days straight why do we not do it on Facebook Live, or why do we use Zoom? So there are strengths and weaknesses to each system, and it will take some time to go and explore, but it's not difficult. So when we were doing it, we actually encountered a lot of problems. Only we got to where we were lah. So I'll just give you an example lah. In Zoom is great because the video quality is great. The for the viewer, it automatically helps you adjust whether it's a low res, high res. So there's very little lag for video quality lah, and it's good quality also lah. I would say it's acceptable quality, not great quality. It's acceptable, but the chat system is so weak. If you had 100 people in your meeting, or in a because it's Zoom webinar lah, the chat also very slow already lah. And on multiple occasions, we've had the chat in Zoom crashed the entire system. So then we were talking about, hey, why your Zoom like this, why my Zoom like that? And then we were saying, hey, don't you need a backup, a co-host computer. Whether there's someone there or not is irrelevant, but every time you have any event on Zoom, it's best to have a co-host, because Zoom is very clever. The minute your internet breaks, if you don't have a co-host, the meeting ends. That's it. You can't resend the same link over. You have to create new link. So you imagine if you had 1,000 people, 2,000 or 8,000 people, how are you going to do that? So in our meetings, so there are two things like Zoom webinar, Zoom meetings, right? What we've discovered along the way also is for Zoom meetings. So now we've set up a Zoom meeting room where we have like 8 60-inch screens in front of us, and everybody's video camera is on. So it's virtually the speaker and you in the same meeting, right? And all eight TVs are attached to a host a co-host. Now, the good thing about having a co-host is because what we experience is internet break power outage Zoom will pass the host feature to the next co-host, and then after that, you can pass back the feature over also. So this is like a foolproof plan if you're having an 8 hour event, and the internet's not that stable in our country and our city, so these things are bound to happen. Yeah, so this is one of the things we consider every time we do an online event. So I'm usually the guy who looks after the tech, making sure when the speaker gets on stage, he doesn't have to worry about anything lah, you know.
Right. So Master Paula actually say
Hey,
hello
Paula.
to you and saying that it's great advice, and definitely it's great advice. I think because of running a couple of these live stream events, we can see not only are there internet connectivity issues not on the host, but also from the students and your guests coming in. So having a co-host to solve some of the technical support issues is definitely critical. So welcome everyone. For those who just joined us, we have Mr. Kenny Yap from Malaysia with us. He is actually the Director of Development for the JY or Joey Yap group of companies in Malaysia. They run live events previously, then they pivoted actually to live streams very fast, and now they have, I think every other week they are running live streams actually to over 7,000 audiences worldwide. So we are having him here to share his experience and at the same time on how they prepared themselves during the COVID-19 pandemic to transit. So now, switching gears, Kenny, I would just like to ask you, what have you seen change since the recording we did about more than a month ago from a communication perspective with your team and organization?
I think the first thing is people adapt quite easily lah. To be very frank, I think internally, I've also seen it externally in other companies and people. Even like yourself, you've adapted very quickly. I mean, it's painful at first lah, but it's not a problem. You know, people usually paranoid. It's like, you will change this, that, but it's not that difficult, and you know, it became normal. And then I tell you, the last disruption was having to get back to the office, because here in Malaysia we lifted the MCO and people are getting back to the office. But I was like trying to delay that as much as possible. You know, it was so comfortable working from home already, so comfortable, and then everything's set up. You know, you just flick a few buttons. You don't have to walk to meeting rooms or to meet anybody. It's so simple. So what has changed? One thing, I think, if you are in the digital marketing space or even doing online events, our logic will tell us that a lot of people are staying home right now, and if you do social media or you do Facebook ad buys, one of the things that most experts are claiming is that traffic is very cheap because there's simply more people online. But what I have found is this is totally not true lah.
Oh.
Totally not true lah. In fact, if my what I found and the data shows it lah, is there are more eyeballs around, but more eyeballs doesn't mean more conversion.
Yeah.
Okay, so Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, anywhere you can buy traffic or you can influence traffic with posts that you boost. Yes, they have a lot of inventory right now. A lot of inventory to sell.
It's
but
11 o'clock.
But that inventory, whether it's your kind of market, that's a different story. I think what's happening in the market now is people are there's so much, suddenly there's so much people doing digital business. Facebook doesn't have enough space to show so many eyeballs. Like, Facebook wouldn't even know if you're interested in buying durians this month or whether you are interested in going for a personal development course. There's more people hanging out there. Yes, that's totally true. The cost for eyeballs, for people seeing your ads or traffic is much lower, but the cost for taking action for conversion remains the same. So you imagine you're trying to spread the same amount of inventory to a much larger pool now, so it gets spread very thinly. So that's a problem. I think a lot of I'm seeing out there. These experts are saying, "Oh, it's very cheap, best time to advertise." It's not true, lah. Totally not true.
Okay, now that's great advice, and we'll definitely come back to this conversation a little later on because I just attended a couple of webinars that propound the same thing. But I I also think the same thing like yourself. So we'll currently play the episode premiere, and after the episode premiere itself, we will carry on with the live Q&A with Mr. Kenny Yap. So Kenny, I'll just hide you for a little while.
Okay.
Hi, welcome to the Leadership During Crisis Online Summit series. Thank you for taking your time to watch these episodes. Please remember to subscribe at our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook under Leadership During Crisis. What were the key things your organization or yourself took to basically address this particular crisis and overcome it?
Okay, it's a very timely question because I just had a town hall meeting with my entire team, and we were looking back at what we did leading to this event. So I still remember the date clearly. On October 19th of 2019, we actually pushed the panic button on that date. And we didn't know at that time that it's going to be a health crisis. We didn't know it's going to be a pandemic. What we did know was we had to save a lot of money, 6 months of cash, and we need to restructure loans, and we pushed the panic button early. So that's what saved us. And I mean, this is not helpful to most people who didn't panic early, and most people are panicking now. So what would be helpful to someone to turn around a situation is, first of all, I think there are 4 things that we actually did right at the right time. The first thing I would suggest that any company or any individual do is to open up all lines of communication. Communication is key for thought leaders, for better customer service, for better staff support, for better leadership. So you got to really over-communicate during this period of time. And plus, you got to take into account that a lot of people are stuck at home. They have nothing to do, but sending 1 or 2 more emails out wouldn't hurt. Sending a few more texts out to show your concern, to be empathetic about the situation. It really depends on what your business is, but for us, it's about life transformation. We have to be at the front lines together with our clients' needs. We need to know what's going on and be there for them, not just business as usual, because it's just not usual anymore. The second thing I think that's really helped us, we're leaning towards a lot of tech. We have been in the last 5 years. Suddenly, we just found ourselves jumping forward to the future and say that, hey, this is the tech we need. This is what we need to do. And I kid you not, because over here in Malaysia, the MCO, Movement Control Order, started on the 18th. Now, we had been planning, big things since October, but we've never really anticipated that everyone's going to be locked at home. We never anticipated that. So we had all these gadgets, tools, tech that allowed us to reach and scale using the internet, using software. We were pushed to the brink, and 3 days before the MCO, I remember it was a Monday, we called for our own town hall meeting, all face-to-face. Everyone was still in the office. It was work as usual. On that day, we actually conducted a training to use a software, not Zoom. It's called Work Pulse. You guys can go and check it out. It's a software to manage your workforce remotely. We have 160, 150 staff in 9 different locations. And these days, everybody either works with a phone or a computer. What this software does is when you log in, it takes a snapshot. You can see the projects that are managed by each person and how much time they estimate to get it done. And the workflow, it's beautiful. But given the fact that everybody is everywhere in 9 different locations, and we've been blessed, we've been lucky, like we had 3 days of implementation before we started to say that, hey, everybody at home now. We don't just use Zoom for meetings. We have this thing called happy hour. So it's is an electronic hour, and get together with people. So we still try to do normal things and abnormal things on Zoom, but we also need special tools to do it. So I would say that the technology will definitely help you turn this situation around and give you back the advantage. And if not, it will at least level playing field. You will not lose something that you already had if you know how to find the right technology to support what you're doing. The third thing that I would say, I know it sounds crazy. A lot of people are thinking about survival, but it's counterintuitive. And if you actually have a growth plan inside your survival plan, you will definitely hit something that's much higher than what you thought is possible. So what we did was we got everybody at the team to do a pivot. So when we say pivot, these are things like repurposing people, repurposing content, remarketing, if you've heard of it, and creation of new products as well. Everybody in the team, when we make a pivot, for example, we have this lead magnet that's evergreen. It's called Great Feng Shui, Great Life. We had to repurpose this book and this content. It was insensitive to push and say, hey, download this book to get a great life or get great business using Great Feng Shui. It's insensitive to say that. We're not empathetic. So repurposing it, we then created new sections of this book to say that, hey, it's a work from home Feng Shui guide. You guys are now stuck at home. Your work and your office place is now the same place. So how does Feng Shui help you? How do we create better Feng Shui with this in mind? And we changed the pricing. We used to have a large product back end, and we actually cut the product up to say that, hey, this part is just 99 ringgit. Because we know that money is tight right now. It's probably the last thing in mind, but this can help you. At least come and try it first. So the messaging has to be repurposed. The product has to be repurposed. So those are examples of pivots that we've done. And this has kept the engines running. I think the fourth thing and the final thing, which is really important, is for leadership to step up. So I mentioned earlier about communication. Now, communication is at all levels. It's not just leadership to staff. I think from the standpoint of also peer-to-peer, our business to customers, our business on social media, everywhere. But for leadership, the teams that you establish within the bigger team, I think you only have to get leaders to ask two questions. The first question is, how do we save money? The second question is, how do we make money? These two questions are very powerful questions because under normal circumstances, under normal working operations, somebody in an administrative role, for example, in HR, this question or this goal would never be their KPI. Somebody from finance, if their daily job was doing accounts, sales is just a number to them that they compute into the system. But when you get your team members, each individual, to ask this question, things change, and you'll be surprised at the things they can contribute. I'll give you an example. The town hall meeting that we had earlier this week, somebody from finance, she's been with us for about 5 years. She's a very good bookkeeper, very good accountant. And she came up with an idea to actually dominate Instagram with her personal stories. She actually funneled new traffic to our $99 products, to our new books. Her approach to Instagram was pretty unique because nobody would have thought of doing it. Not even the marketing team would have thought of doing that. So she did stories, and then she journaled her journey about an encounter in metaphysics. So she had very unique perspectives on this thing, and I thought it's a good attempt. So that's why, when you ask the right questions, or actually you give them the two questions to ask, and you get your sub-leaders to ask this, their minds are very focused.
The thing would be, I'm sure COVID-19 is not the first crisis that you have encountered. All of us would have encountered some kind of personal crisis. What are some of the lessons that you have learned that you would like to share with others?
Look, we are a business built on reading the stars, but we are not invulnerable to a crisis. I mean, we're all human. Everybody is the same. We've had a technological crisis before. An example of one of our campaigns that we did online, the entire emailing system kaput the night before we were supposed to open the sales card. It's controllable because it's a very short crisis and we can manage. But this crisis is, let me give you from perspective, in the month of March, we fell short of 60% of our revenue targets. In the month of March, it was only about 12 days of lockdown. There was a 100% drop in all our face-to-face events, 100% drop in cancellation of all our live events. So this is catastrophic. By normal means, it's catastrophic. Thankfully, we also have a digital company and digital arm to do this. The lesson here is this. I'll give you 4. The first one, we have to break some rules. Now is the future. We are living in the future. What we envisioned will happen 10 years from now, everybody working remotely with no office is happening now. Now is the future. We have to break some rules because the old rules don't apply. The old world is gone. And second thing, don't try to do everything yourself. We're all working from home, and everybody's got these ideas of cooking here. I can do this, I can do that. But you see, when we open up lines of communication, and you have a team, don't try to do everything yourself. Get people involved because that's how we can get through a crisis like this. Third thing is, if you have an organization of more than 10 people, go flat. make it a flat organization. One of the biggest positives that has happened because of this crisis is that myself, Joey, and all of us at the management level, we've had a chance to actually see who our guys are, to actually have more interaction with them on Zoom. Because when you open up Zoom and you see the whole town is in there, and then whoever speaks or contributes, you actually get to know them. So this is actually a big bonus, because under normal circumstances, our town hall meeting is like once a month for the HODs, and once a month with the sales heads, and once a month with finance. That's it. And we spend so little time together. Every time we do talk is elevator talk lah. Now that we're all stuck at home, we actually focus more on this window, that the only window that we have to the company. So that's great lah. Every time we have a town hall, we say, okay, this is flat. Everybody is at a round table, and everybody chips in. At first it was hard lah, and then being Malaysian and I think even Singaporeans were more conservative, not confrontational, and we're getting there. We have been getting more ideas, and once others see this, they contribute. So a flat organization at a time like this is perfect. Last thing that we learned is we've never thought we miss the office so much lah. So we need to treat the office with more respect lah. I think this is not just from me. I think our heads also. Working from home has its challenges. It also has its benefits. But we'll see lah. We'll see how it goes. It's still a developing story.
Hi, Kenny.
Hey, hello. Wow,
Hi. So now,
that was 1 month ago, is it?
yeah, all of us. No, that was 2 months ago. That was April 4th that we did the recording.
Yeah, 2 months ago.
Yeah. Quite a lot of difference since then, right?
Yeah, a lot of difference actually. So, where to start?
One of the first questions I'd like to ask you is, I think in the video itself, you mentioned that the roles actually changed quite a bit when it went to MCO. But Malaysia is already out of MCO. I know you all have gone back to the offices, I think for about 2 weeks already. How do you see your organization moving forward? Do you see roles changing of the people that are within your organization?
Yeah, some of these changes are going to be cast in stone. It's going to be forever already lah. And if there's anything we've taken from this, the 3-month lockdown, is that your roles will continue to change whether there's a pandemic or not lah. Because the ability to change so quickly has now that I see what I just said in the video that we recorded, it's like that 100% of our events cancelled I think a lot of businesses out there, a lot of people who are even working at that time, I remember they were so worried about losing their jobs. There's no revenue, no business was built to survive with zero revenue.
Yes.
And the news kept coming in, or Grab and then there was Asia at first saying they're the only airlines that does not no pay cut, nothing, and then suddenly they had a pay cut and then they retrenched staff. So all the big names, everybody was affected. I think for us, the ability to change has been our key survival factor because I'll give you an example. When we started those kind of changes, I also didn't expect them, but we converted our live events to a live stream, right? So in the old days, for the years before, for the same event, we usually have about 200 people, because this is a high ticket event, so people have to pay like $5,000 to come for an event like this. And we normally aim for a select group of individuals, a type of customer that has already qualified for certain things. These guys, they're totally invested in it. They have to pay for their air ticket, they have to book hotels, fly all the way to Malaysia. And then 200 people sit in the classroom, personal interaction. But at that time, I think we were like, maybe this was a month ago, we were quite experienced in digital events, live streams. We introduced new things, and we saw so many problems that were happening before. I think you asked me this question in our offline interview. Say, hey, how do you engage people for 8 hours to sit in front of a computer? Because that's the biggest challenge people have,
Yes.
And then, but the end result was from a 200 people event, it became a 2,000 people event, Same, we sold at a slightly cheaper price because we had a lot of savings. We didn't profit from it. We passed back the savings to the customers. So from instead of a $5,000 product, it became a $2,000 product. Plus, for the we managed to reach more people, scale it up. They didn't have to pay for the airfare. They didn't have to pay for hotels. Nobody wants to travel at this time, but they wanted to be part of the program. They want to be part of the experience. Want to be part of the community. So the only challenge that was left, it wasn't really marketing. The really challenge that was left was how to make an event engaging,
That's right.
So, I will not tell you everything, but there is one thing that we do use extensively, and that's Telegram, Okay, because you see, when you have 2,000 people chatting, it's not easy to manage. We actually have zero moderation in those events. We don't moderate those things. What we do is we add panelists or coaches, and there's a lot of private messaging going around because we don't want the main chat to be flooded. Yeah, but in YouTube it's no problem. In Facebook chats is no problem, But if you choose those kind of platforms, I was just telling you why we don't use Facebook, because Facebook is not a medium that people actually spend time on learning.
Yes.
The intent to learn is not there. The intent to be part of something is not there. The only intent there is just kepo what's happening today, scrolling. That's all. Nobody wants to scroll and stop at the talking head or on an event. Okay, so we use but in what we use is Telegram to facilitate our classes or these meetings. Because in a live event, usually you're given a workbook, and then I think you said it also, you use breakout rooms. This is something we haven't tried yet, but what we intend to do is just that for 2,000 people to break out the rooms is really tough. And if you do manually, it's like you need a little army just to do it.
Yes.
So we don't do it at all. Instead, we use a lot of Telegram to facilitate the materials. So one more thing that we did save on, and we passed back the savings to students, is that we didn't have to print any workbooks today because of Telegram. Yeah, so it's very engaging. We can create polls, you can do all these things. There's a lot of interaction that is going on live. And the benefit of using Zoom is you can come online and talk to us. You can see us, we can see you. Your mic's ready, as long as your mic and your camera is hooked up.
Yes, thanks. So welcome for those who just joined us. Today we have Mr. Kenny Yap from Malaysia. He is the Director of Development of the Joey Yap group of companies who have been doing live streams. They pivoted from live events to live streams, and they have been doing it every other week to over 7,000 audiences worldwide. So for those who would like to key in your questions, please log into your YouTube account, and the chat box is on your right. If you're coming in from desktop, the chat box will be at the bottom of the screen if you're coming in from the mobile phone. So Kenny, thanks again for coming on this Saturday morning to share your experience and insights with us. So we have quite a few questions, so I'm going to start with the first one from Seoul Center. I think she's Sally Forrest. Kenny.
Sally, hello, Sally.
Do you think live events will happen again, but just smaller?
Live events will definitely come back. It's just the timing. I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't know about everyone else, but what we plan to do is going to be, there's no rush to this anymore. For organizers, this means we can sell the same product cheaper. There's no cost already. There's no cost for venue. There's no cost for heavy setup. And we can scale it much further than just to a locality. Let's just say Singapore is only to Singaporeans. We used to have one class in Malaysia and Singapore. They're the same class. It's double the cost, double the marketing efforts, two different groups of students. All right, but what we will do next is probably a hybrid. So there's going to be a group of people that will come to the live events, and it will also be broadcasted. So that's the plan. Do we want to go back to full large-scale events with 32,000 people over 3 days? The answer is definitely yes, but it's not going to be possible this year. I think even by the next Chinese New Year, it's not going to be possible.
Yeah. So I think until at least some vaccine or protection will be there. So she said yes, it's Sally that's asking the question. So the next question comes from Dr. Philip Mary. He's asking, hi Kenny, we met on Joey's China trip. What does Feng Shui tell us about COVID-19? Was it predicted in the stars?
This question should be directed to Joey, but I'll help give the short answer to this. Hang around, watch, be cautious till December. Lah. Right? The earliest we'll see some signs is September. Lah.
Yeah.
September, okay?
Yeah. So I think the stars don't tell us exactly what to see, but I think the energies are not going to be positive till at least, I think, first half of next year. So we have another question coming in from Master Paula. What program do you recommend for webinars? Is Zoom the best in your opinion?
There is no best. Webinars, it really depends on what you prefer. You can use Facebook Live in Facebook groups for that webinar. There's no zero tech. There's so easy to do. All you need to do is just put your students or your participants into a Facebook group and then broadcast it there privately. Or you can even do it on your own Facebook page. Now we choose Zoom because we wanted some security. We wanted people to pass through a registration first. But Zoom also has its weaknesses. I was just telling Janet earlier that the chat feature in Zoom is really weak. I think it's the weakest. It's the Achilles heel in Zoom lah. Because we've had Zoom crash so many times because of the chat, and it was a catastrophic. So the last event that we did, we used a combination of two systems. It was a 4-day event. If you were there, you'll notice the last day we didn't use Zoom. The last day we used Zoom, but the first 3 days we didn't use any Zoom. Mainly because the first 3 days we wanted to emphasize on having a very engaging chat. Okay, because this event was huge. It was 8,000 people, and it was impossible to moderate 8,000 people. It was impossible to assign coaches or breakout rooms to 8,000 people. So we chose to use live stream instead. So live stream for the video, and then we had a different chat system that was very robust. It's going to be almost lag-free. It's very, very lively because the chat 8,000 people moves really, really fast. For the admins, it was so difficult for us because you had to slow it down, pick it up, and then show it on the prompter to the speaker, So, but on the last day was different. We didn't need the chat to be so robust anymore, and we needed to focus more on video quality. Right, live stream video quality was bad for many people who had slow internet connections. Right, so there's a plus, there's a pro and con lah. I wouldn't say Zoom is the best. It was the best for some events. Yeah.
Right. So now the thing you mentioned was actually a very robust chat system. What was this robust chat system that you utilized? Was it totally separate, where you have different people dialing in and managing it?
No. There's a software application. It's something like Zoom, but it's only for chat. It's called Chat Roll. You can try it out, but it's not recommended unless you have like 1,000 people events lah.
True.
The design is ugly. You can't do much with it.
Yeah.
But
So
all it's good at handling large events.
So for those who just came in, basically we were talking about actually these live event that came over last weekend. That was 8,500 people that Master Paula actually mentioned over here. So we have another question from Sally. She's asking, Kenny, would you encourage us to get a home setup and go on live in a larger way?
Get a home setup or and to go online in a larger way. Definitely this. Period 9 and all these things going on, and we're already in the future. If you pull back now, you're only going to shrink. I was telling Jenna about the marketplace, about eyeballs. Okay, so these eyeballs are not ready yet, but nevertheless, they're eyeballs. People are used to it. You definitely have a lot of eyeballs going out there in the market. So if you are not fully invested in digital yet, now is the time lah.
So now, I think you shared earlier on about Facebook, we have a lot of eyeballs that go through in the eyes. And although the marketing buy or the ads buy is a lot cheaper, then we ended with the episode premiere. I think it's a quite interesting topic that we can probably carry on. So for now, right, when you decide to run events, when do you decide to purchase actually ads, whether is it on GDN, whether is it on Facebook, social media marketing? How do you decide when you decide to promote an event?
How do I decide? We just decide.
I mean, what are the steps in terms of deciding which kind of platform you will utilize in terms of advertising? And you mentioned also Telegram, I noticed that you have recently picked up a lot. So how do you decide when to promote an event, or you just go across the board?
Okay. Usually it's across the board lah, but there are special campaigns that we do that have a longer term effect lah. I'll give you an example lah. We, like you mentioned, Telegram. We actually launched it in February this year, but we didn't have a concrete plan for Telegram at the time lah. So we did a relaunch recently on Telegram, and if you notice, if you were in the Telegram, you notice that now there are voice notes.
Yes.
And there's a daily calendar. So we want to give nuggets, bite-sized stuff that people can relate and act on only. Right? So we don't post lengthy stuff. We don't post like long tutorials on Telegram, because Telegram is not used that way. Telegram is used like WhatsApp. So you imagine you're receiving long posts on WhatsApp. So lazy to read lah. Or something that is very is about me and not about you. You won't want to read it lah. Yeah, so we used Telegram. We relaunched it, and we went from, I think, about 20,000 all the way. I think right today is about almost 30,000 already. So 10,000 in a very short time. That's less than 15 days. And then we also, so our long-term campaigns is like our relaunch of our YouTube channel as well. So in the old days, YouTube for us has just been like a dumping ground lah, We just dump everything there, and then I think we talked about this briefly. I didn't have time to talk to you about it. You said because you use YouTube because it's easy to playlist them, right?
Yes.
But actually, there's so much more to YouTube lah.
True.
So the way I see YouTube is this lah. The main difference between YouTube and Facebook and how we decide where to spend money. Facebook is very touch and go lah. It's like reading the newspaper lah. You will never read last week's newspaper one. You won't one. Okay, so if your campaign is old, smells old, looks old, it won't be touched again.
Yeah.
YouTube, on the other hand, is like investing in property. Every asset you put in there has an evergreen nature to it, and because it's owned by Google, and if you know how to name, you know how to categorize, you know how to tag, you know how to put markers, you know how to put thumbnails onto a YouTube video, the evergreen value of the YouTube video is exponential.
Yes.
It's like property, like you will continue to get rental from it. You will continue to have capital gains. Whereas for a Facebook post or Instagram post, you only get face value lah. That's it. It will depreciate after that. You can repost them, but because it's news, like newspapers lah. That's the best analogy I can give you lah. So how do we decide a campaign? If let's say we have a deadline campaign, then Facebook is best lah. But if we want to build longer term objectives, we use Telegram and we use Google lah.
Yes. Thanks for sharing. I think I agree with you, because I think when you look at search engine marketing, SEO, and all those, you definitely can do on your websites, whether it's WordPress or you're using YouTube. That's what Kenny was actually talking about in terms of the titles and the title tags as well. So there are some questions coming in from beginners. He says, as a beginner, what's your advice on who wants to start? I would presume it's actually starting on digital marketing or starting on this virtual journey.
I think you first need to determine your audience and your product lah. These two things only lah. With that in mind, then only you decide what tools you did, what software, what kind of help, or outsource everything. Yeah, if you don't have a product, and you don't have an audience, there's no point doing digital marketing. It's like just posting something on a newspaper without telling where the newspaper should go, you know. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you know your audience, it's very easy. Really. If you know if you know if you already have a product, then the challenge is only to go digital, lah. Yeah. So don't worry about tools or tech. I think most people get afraid when they think about tools and tech. Sally is still here. I think Sally also had a lot of problems with tech. But tech is the last thing you want to worry about because everything is there. If you want no hassle, low tech, just use Facebook, lah. Yeah, everything can be delivered on Facebook already. And if you want to be more sophisticated, that's the time when you need to learn some tech, lah.
Right. Thanks for your tips, Kenny. So we have actually Sally asking again, if you had time over again, what one thing would you do differently? Any learnings from past error or failures?
I think we would have started Telegram. We downloaded the Telegram app last year, long ago, but we were inactive there, lah. I would have done that way earlier because if you're familiar with digital marketing, like if your business is very digital, you come across terms like CPC, CPL. The cost for somebody to look at it and the cost of somebody to take action, lah, basically. So Telegram is through the roof. It's like I've never seen this kind of effectiveness for digital marketing. It's not. There's just no way, Yeah, so that would have been changed.
So now you mentioned about effectiveness of marketing, Kenny. When you talk about effectiveness in this case, are you looking at actual conversion or collecting leads?
There are a few points of measurement. So definitely conversion is one of them, but the critical success factor is not just conversion. In old school, older school, I wouldn't say it's old school. For email, you definitely need to look at open rates first, right? Then your click-through rates. The problem with email is that the generally accepted good open rate is between 20 to 30%. If you have a very engaged audience, you get above 30%. If you have an engaged audience, it's about 30%. But Telegram is way higher than that. Way higher than that. And these people, when they're on your Telegram, it's a very personal connection already. Because they definitely will be seeing it on their phone already. not a desktop, not anywhere else really. And when they open a message, you're not competing with 10 other digital marketers. You're not competing with Zara sale or Lazada's recommendation or anything else. So that's why I say it's very good lah.
So it's basically the focus audience and therefore easier direction down in terms of the funnel or the conversion funnel that you are looking at. Now, time really has flown. We are already at 11:34. The targeted time to end was actually at 11:30. So what I would like to do before we actually end, Kenny, is actually to show how they can contact you, where they can find this particular episode after this, so that if they came in halfway, they can watch the episode all over again. So I'll hide you for a little while, and then I'll come back to you again.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Right now, what I would like to show you is how you can actually get to the episode today. So you can go into effectiveagentleadership.com. In there will be a page called Leadership During Crisis Summit Series. In that page itself, when you scroll down, you will be able to see all the various different episodes on leadership during crisis. I hope you enjoy the episode today. And here you can see episodes relating to overcoming business crisis, overcoming personal emotional crisis, or even other leaders who shared on leadership strategies as well. So when you scroll all the way down, you will see the page, which actually has Kenny on it. Click on the blue button so that you can go straight into the page, which actually has his episodes. Once you click on that, you'll come to this page, which shows basically two videos. The first video is the episode premiere that we recorded more than 2 months ago. And the blue button below, if you click on it, is once the edited video for today is done, it will be uploaded on this page itself. where you can then rewatch some of the tips that Kenny gave earlier on. And if you scroll further down, you will be able to read more about Kenny, as well as how you can contact him if you have further questions at joeyyap.com. So now for these particular leadership during crisis summit series itself, because there are a total of 30 episodes, so it's quite a lot to go through the various episodes. So we have actually mounted it actually on the learning.corporatetrainerconnect.com. All these are key in the YouTube description, where you can then come to the website. There are various different learning courses, including emotional resilience, leadership, motivation. And on it, you will also see these Leadership During Crisis Summit series. It is free. You can basically go in there, sign up for the course. So what's the difference between these and the previous page that I showed? This goes by categories. So when you go in and sign up, you can basically go straight to an episode on overcoming business crisis, overcoming emotional crisis. So thank you for your time. Let me just get back to Kenny right now. So Kenny, we have a final note from Sally as well. It's great to learn from people who are successful and who walk the talk. Thanks, Kenny, for sharing your tips. And thank you, Sally. You're more than welcome. So generally speaking, I think this is the aim of this particular episode, where we hope to share tips. So let me see. Master Paula said, please teach a class on this. I have been asking you for months. A paid event, of course. So Kenny, what do you say about that?
Okay, I'll consider. But I don't know. I think I always thought that marketing is very hands-on
Yes.
topic. And then, especially when you say digital, okay, the principles of marketing is evergreen. But digital changes overnight. So it's very hard to, have a course because it will be obsolete tomorrow. There is no point. The principles will be the same. So I'm really actually quite old school in marketing. But the tools tag change so fast, and the climate of the economy changes so fast. So you have to be in the doing. It's continuous kind of learning. It's not like it's like tools of the week or tech of the week or theme of the week, but you can never really have something that will last you for digital marketing, and not something that will last you for a long time.
But I think what Kenny say is definitely true. But even for myself, I think if we look at, I'm a marketing graduate more than 20 years ago. I had to go back to class to learn the foundation of digital marketing, which is quite significantly different. But when I look at actually the process, if you are a marketing or business development student, it's the same. You actually have to start with engaging your audience, finding your target audience, then building that relationship and bringing them to the funnel. So if Kenny is willing to actually do a class on the basic principles, and that will be great. So the other part where Kenny mentioned about practice, I think that's definitely crucial. If I had not had a website, I not had tried out these particular platform, I would not have learned a lot of things. So I think it's both. One is actually having a class to learn the basics. The other one is actually the sharing and learning. There are some more coming up. So Kenny, are you okay if we carry on for the session? Yeah,
That's
okay.
fine.
Yeah. So Cindy, you should go digital marketing seminars next and share your success story.
Cindy should be the one speaking on the stage. Cindy, I know Cindy has her own. She's also a very successful marketer herself. Like I said, the fundamentals you can learn it in uni. Buy a book. It's very boring. It's very straightforward. It's just that it's hard to say. Marketing is like a philosophy, when you say you're doing marketing, what really is marketing? So some people say, 4 Ps this all the technical stuff. We in some sense, marketing has a bad name because of this. Because marketing people are like, wow, so good at talking. Or say the time is so good. And then if you're a business owner, you want to hire somebody to help you with marketing, a marketing consultant or even a marketing manager. Wow, they talk all the time. I was like, I can do this, I can be that, but all theory, anyone. When when you put it into practice, and when there's resistance from the market, your ability to adapt is more important than your highbrow theories, so it's more of a way of life, more of a philosophy, it's hard to teach, put it in one word, it's very hard to teach. And the last thing I want to do is I open a class and teach somebody how to use ClickFunnels or Infusionsoft, because those things are like, you don't even need to know one. It's just a tool.
Yeah. So practice actually makes perfect, but generally I think people are maybe seeking some advice, because I think there are really, really a lot of different options in the market. Because I think before we started the live session, I was asking you about Infusionsoft, Katra, ClickFunnels, because there are so many options. So unless you have dabbled with this for a little while, it can be quite confusing for a beginner, I guess.
Confusionsoft. That happens to be the backbone of our digital marketing business. But having said that, if Infusionsoft breaks down on us, we won't die. It's as far as it as much as it is good, it's only a tool. You see, like Cindy was talking about seminars. I think if you asked me this 1 year ago, I would tell you that nobody would understand what a launch means. They would not comprehend that a launch could be 7 figures every time we do it, and then we can do it a few times a year. Nobody will understand this. Like, hey, you can sell stuff online. They will say that one. But because of this, the last 3 months, the pandemic, and everybody's going online, everybody's paying attention. I see some of our contacts who are also going on, and then they explore what Infusionsoft is, explore what ClickFunnels is. I mean, these tools has been around for a long, long time, long time already. And some people come here, they don't even know how to do like a checkout page, or they don't even know how to collect a lead on the internet. So these things elude them, but now today they understand what is it. So now if I tell them we have such a thing called 7-figure launches multiple times a year, now they understand what is it. So if you ask me to talk about this 1 year ago, it's like Han Fan, I don't need to say anything. They won't understand. I won't try to explain what a launch means or what digital marketing means. Because to do that to them, it's like, I create a post on social media, I have a social media manager do this in a calendar. That's digital marketing. That's all they can comprehend at the time. They won't understand. But today, I think the marketplace, everybody knows what digital marketing is already. They know that the physical brick and mortar store is no longer needed. They understand what Infusionsoft is. They know what email marketing is, but maybe not yet a 7-figure launch, but they know how to sell stuff online already, basically.
Yeah. So now, Kenny, the other thing I'd like to ask you is, I think there are also a lot of people who may not have dabbled in this. They become so specialized in whatever that they do. So there's a lot of fear in stepping in actually, or even picking up skills on digital marketing, which is quite crucial as we move forward. What would be your 3 tips for someone who is brand new to basically start exploring this?
There was this book that I read that started it for me. It's called 0 to 1. I can't remember the author's name. So that was the first time I actually said that, hey, this marketing is not supposed to be like this. And so go read that book. Then personally, I did a lot of research on YouTube. A lot of research. So but there's also it's a double-edged sword. When you do so much research, you become over analytical, and because of, I think even in the last 3 months, the number of marketing experts just shot through the roof. So there's a lot of conflicting information, a lot of obsolete information out there. I would suggest, if you're not a marketing person, you're just a business owner, to learn the fundamentals of marketing first. So it's the 4 P's. Is what you will learn in school, like how to what's AIDA? How do you create attention? How do you create interest? How do you create desire? How do you create action? Right. So you learn all these things first, because in the online world, the foundation is the same. It's just the tools are different, and the method is different only. Okay, the way we write copy these days is very different from how You use the right copy for advertorials or printed or press. Those very different. So those things, those nuances you can learn on the way, but make sure you have some foundations in marketing. Now, going digital, I think you pick one tool for marketing and then just learn that one tool only. Don't care about the rest first. Okay. A good place to start where I started was lead pages. So it was all in one. Actually, no, it wasn't lead pages. MailChimp was MailChimp. MailChimp used to be just an email sending software. But today it's blossomed into a full-blown, you can do everything with it. You build your landing page, build your checkout systems, everything there. And I think for beginners, use that. Just use that only. I don't care about Infusionsoft, don't care about anything else. Focus on one system. Build your business in there first before you replicate it everywhere else. Because every system has their own advantage and strengths. And in the same tone, every system also has its weakness. There's no best system, there's no worst system. You just need to know when to use what. Right? But don't worry about when to use what yet. Just focus on getting what you have, putting it online first.
Great
If you
tip.
don't have that, then find a product, find a market first. If you can find either one first, if you find a market first, then only you create a product also can. Or you already have a product, then you go and create the market also can. Both ways work.
Great tips, Kenny. So 3 tips that you gave. First is actually read the book on 0 to 1, or what I understand is actually at least get yourself familiar with what this entire digital marketing is. 2 is actually go back to fundamentals and understand how you target an audience, get their attention and drive them through the funnel. The third is be focused, start on one platform and not be distracted by too many other things so that you can fully learn and practice through the journey. So we have quite a few comments. So let me just read out to them before we go off. Is from Sally, is Kenny, you are far too humble. We are a rock star. You will be bigger than Grant Cardone. And
I need bigger biceps to be Grant Cardone.
Okay, and then Cindy said, LOL, no way, Kenny, you are more seafood level because you run a successful business.
It's not just me alone,
Yeah.
I have my 2 brothers are here, my sister is here, so we have a front man, then we have a back end, and then we have 2, side supports. It works like that, It's just I don't speak on camera. Joey does all the speaking.
And thank you for Master Paula as well. So we are at 11:49. Thank you so much, Kenny, for taking your Saturday morning to share your insights and experience. I'm sure a lot of people benefited from your expert tips and what to do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I will end this particular session and goodbye. We will have another session coming on at 1:50 p.m. where Chu will be sharing on how he overcame the sudden loss of his loved one. So I think that's also a pretty important topic. That's why I included in this series in case you are having to overcome some emotional issues. So thank you so much, Kenny, for your time again.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
you.
everyone.
Everyone.